Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Brad and this is my video on my EXB rear diff. Now when I got this back in August, I took it out for its first run and done a lot of research beforehand, found out that these diffs obviously need shimming and a bit of work. Reluctantly I took it out for a first run, brought it back, stripped it all down, found two teeth on the bottom sun gear, had a little bit of damage on them. Anyway, so I shimmed it all out and put it all back together, upped the diff oil in there up to 30,000, and it's ever since August it's been running absolutely fine. I'm running a Max 6 with a 1650 kV motor and 6S most of the time, plenty of torque, loads of punch on a 21 tooth pinion. Have run it a couple of times on 8S, but yeah, just literally just to see what it goes like, and it's crazy. Anyway, 2 weeks ago I went out and took it out for a little while. The front end seemed really bitey and the back end was sliding around. Finished on Sunday, put it away, and on Monday thought I'd give the car a clean. Rear wheels were both locked up. Okay, right, what's going on here? Popped the diff out to find that there was no longer two, but there was about 12 teeth. Not all chipped up and damaged completely, but I don't know whether you can see it or not. They're slightly all the way round. You know, there's about 12 teeth on there. All got a bit of damage on it, just on that bottom sun gear where it had the original two dodgy teeth. So tried making sure it was all shimmed, cleaned the oil out again and put it all back together, and it was kind of notching and catching. So spoke to Chris, and a big shout out to Chris at TJD Models in Dartford. He was in talks with Logic when I first did this, because a friend of mine, he had the EXB as well. His diff pretty much blew out within the first week. He didn't shim it, he left it, just ran it. He's went off to Logic, and they were asking how was the other one going, i.e. my one. Chris explained to them that I'd shimmed it out. They asked what I did with it, and it's been absolutely fine. We did take photos and send it off to them, let them know that there was two little damaged teeth. So they were aware that there was slight damage on there already. So yeah, spoke to him, gave him the diff, took it all apart, and he sent the photos off to them. And now Logic have come back with a answer. Logic and Arrma have come back with an answer. Rather than an LSD diff in the rear or putting the LSD plates in, they've actually came up with a permanent fix. Let's hope so. With shimming. Now this is what they've come up with. If you can see it on there, so you should have all the sizes, what order they need to go in, and they've also kindly given me the shims that I need for each side of the sun gear. So straight off the bat, when the shaft goes in, you make sure your O-ring's in there. Then you'll have your smaller shim at the back, which has got a code on it, ARA 709059. Then a slightly smaller one, 709060, and then the service pack. So this is the service pack. This is their answer to their mess up on the shims. So they've got a 1mm shim, which I'll show you in a minute, which is quite thick, 0.5 and a 0.3. So that takes it to 1.7 behind each sun gear to mesh it up properly and keep it stable and stop them from chewing up. So they've kindly, under warranty, so big shout out to Logic and again Chris at TJD Models. These were under warranty since it was in August. They was aware that obviously there was an issue. So we're going to fit these today, and we're going to mesh it up with the way that they've given me here, and I'm going to put 30,000 weight oil in the back just to stiffen it out a little bit more. They are saying that the front and the rears, I have done the front 20,000 from 10,000, and they are saying to do both of them from 10 to 20, but I like to run mine a little bit thicker, so I'm going to go for 30,000 in the back, which should also aid it as well. So let's get on with the install, and let's go for it. So let's move these ones out of the way. Don't want to get these mixed up with these gears, spider gears. Let's crack this one open. So that's the replacement gears that you'll need. AR 31095885, sorry. And this is for the EXB. Pop this open. Now it doesn't come with replacement spacers that go behind the little spider gears. I just want to have a little check. And see the difference between. You can see that at all? How much it's worn down a fair bit. Whether you can see that on there. But you can see where it has slightly taken bits off of it. Not so much like destroyed it. Let's have a look at the top one. And the top sun gear is in perfect condition. It's not a mark on it, not a tooth damaged on it, no wear on it whatsoever. It's exactly the same as the new one. So that initial two teeth on the bottom, I think, is what caused that to fail in the end, from it not being shimmed in the first place. So we'll put them to one side. We'll keep an eye on our instructions there, and we'll get started. But first of all, let's take out this little grub screw, which in fact, don't always have to take that out. If you get this in the right place, sometimes you can. Maybe it's on some of the other diffs, but we'll pop this grub screw out. Leave that there. Spin this round. I'm going to slide that pin out of the hole. Most of you that's got Arrma vehicles will know what you're doing with these, how to take them apart. Anyone new to it will hopefully find this of help and interest. Can be a bit fiddly. Just trying to get that out. Come on, you little sucker. Got it now, there we go. So we pop that out the side, slide the drive cup off, just reach in and take out the shims that were in there. So I had one of the original shims in there, and I did actually put another one in, I think it was a 0.2 or 0.3. So I spaced that out with 3 shims behind there, which stopped any play and kept that nice and tight. So we'll put them to one side. Still got the O-ring in the bottom. I'm going to pop this bearing off, just check. Still nice and smooth. So I'm happy with that. I've got spares, just in case I was going to change them. So We'll get a bit of tissue, even though I've already given this a clean and a wipe out. Just wipe off any excess down there, just in case anything's been introduced. It's always good to have it clean and done. Put that to one side. So I'm going to pop this back in like that. Try and keep the O-ring in place like so. I'm going to crack open the first bag, the first side. Tip these out, and it's saying these first two. So the bigger one of the two, hopefully you can see that, the bigger one of the two will go on first. So I'll just slide that in there, pop that over. Then the smaller one over that, and then we're going to slide a little pin back in again through the hole. Get that in there, and line it up, and line it up inside. It cares to go in. There we go. Just get that lined up in there, slide that through. You can do to use this just to push it through, make your life a little bit easier, like so. So it's got a little bit of wobble on there, but that's what they say to do. So I'm not gonna put any extra shims in the bottom there. I'm gonna leave it as their diagram says. Now we're going to the 3 shims now. I'll just hold this up against a bit of tissue. You see this one is actually really quite thick. This is the 1 mil. And we have the other 2 here, so you can clearly see that this one here is the 0.5, so that goes in the middle. And then last of all, this is the 0.3, and this one will go on last. So we'll pop the 1 mil one in, that goes in. Double check that we've got the next one, which is 0.5. And it doesn't say anything on the shim itself, but all the numbers are on there, and you can buy these individually, like in the packs. And then the 0.3 is last to go in. So just make sure that they're all seated nicely in there. The pin's square in the middle, and it doesn't sit higher than the pin, which is good. We're going to take our first sun gear. So what, I'm going to lay that in there nicely with these. Just give that a little wiggle down. There we go, you can hear it click into place. And it's sitting quite flush. That's what you want. You want it to sit quite flush at the top there. You ideally don't want that shaft poking above the sun gear, or the sun gear to be sitting higher than the shaft in the middle. So that's sitting nice and flush. You can feel it with your fingers, nice and flush. And when you're holding down, you know, eliminate some of that play. There's a little bit of play there, tiny little bit, but that's how they say to do it, so that's how I'm going to do it. So that's the first sun gear in with the shims behind it. Also to move nicely. And we'll go on to the new shafts, and make sure that these gears are facing inwards. Try and keep the plates the same way round that I had them originally. So you'll see a worn edge. Slide that one on like so. Again, making sure that the gears are facing inwards. I've got my worn edge there, so you can see that sits against the wheel. So I want to do that, keep that against there. And get my pliers. This is the tricky part. And we're going to slide this in. This is going to be the first one. Make sure them the two notches on the top of the square plates there face upwards. This can be very fiddly and frustrating sometimes. It will go. So that's in there now, and then just push the gears out, make sure everything's seated nicely, and then it's got like a little, for those that don't know, there's a little cutout, put it on a white background, a cutout like that, so the bottom one should be facing up, and then this one will sit facing that way down and interlock into the other shaft. So I just thought I'd do that, but just give that a little test, make sure that's sitting where it's supposed to be sitting. And it is. So then we're going to take our next one. Again, making sure the gears are facing inwards. These all seem to be looking fine. One like that. The other side. And making sure that the plates are, I want to keep them the same way that I had them originally in there. So again, now we're going to drop this in on the other side. Again, fiddly little bits. Sometimes you get lucky, they're going straight away. Not all the time. I'll slide them gears out, and now I just need to turn that centre shaft around a tad, just to get it to seat. So give it a little wiggle, and it should look like that. So it's sitting in there nicely now. Just going to hold my finger on the spider shafts. Just give that a little turn. Feels very tight. I could be pushing down too hard. Feels a bit better. And you can hear it, can't you? What we'll do is we'll do the top now. So put that to one side for a minute. I'm going to pop this pin out on the top here. That just slides out to the side. In fact, before I go any further, before I forget, the little grub screw. Don't forget to put your little grub screw back into the diff case. Make sure that goes back into there. One, you don't want your pin to come back out again on its own. Not that I think it would. But other than that, you don't want to lose all your diff oil. So that's that back in. It's all good. So we've taken the pin out of this side. I'm going to slide this out. Give this a quick wipe. So this has been out and cleaned once already. This is just excess grease from when I last took it out. And then we've got my original shims that I put in here. So again, we've got 3 shims. I had 3 shims in there before, which seem to work absolutely lovely. Just give that a quick wipe. Make sure the O-ring's seated nicely. We'll pop this bearing off. We'll spin this bearing up. Smooth as butter. That's what we want. So a lot of grease on there, and I'll explain about what I do with this grease, which Chris at TJD informed me to do. I'll pop that back on there. We're going to put this shaft back in. Now the O-ring has popped up, so just make sure the we'll reseat that. Get that sat down so it's all nice and flush. Sat back in there, we don't want nothing leaking past. Don't want any dirt and dust getting in there. And we're going to open up our other pack. I want to open these plastic things when you've got grease on your hands. I haven't heard a lot of people going on about problems with their EXP diffs anymore. Has everyone found a solution? Have they not? I know a lot of people in the US are going for the lockers, and some of them they're getting supplied with the LSD rear diffs. They're not happy about it. They don't really want to have the LSD diff, but they seem to think that that's the fix. I have seen people put in the Kraton V4, change the pinion on the back, put the Kraton V4 diff in there, and it seems to go well. That could be another answer, but you should be able to run it on the original one. So again, looking at the manual, we are going to go with the bigger one of the two black ones on the back, smaller one on the front, and then we're going to pop our pin in. So we slide our pin back in there. Try and get that nice and centered. That's all good. And once again, same both sides. We're going to take the 1 mil thick, pop that over there. And I believe, looking at it, where they put the bigger shim at the back and then you've got the smaller one on the top, when you put this next shim on there, it kind of sits just perfectly around the outside edge of the smaller one. So I wonder whether that kind of holds that there and stops that moving around, but I don't know if that's going to make a difference with these two, apart from obviously the pin's going to stop it. And of course obviously the little star on the back of the sun gear. So now we've got the 0.5, which we're going to pop on there. Make sure our pin stays in the middle. 0.3. So it's a lot easier doing this side than it is the other side. We'll try and make sure this is squared up nicely. It's a bit like a magnet, that one. Right, we've got that in there. We're going to take our new sun gear, I'm going to pop that on. Make sure that that's seated in there. That's it. You hear it clicking, and it kind of lines up all the shims. You see the shims, if they're out of line, it won't go in. You give it a little wiggle, hold the sun gear, give it a little bit of pushing down, and then it slots. The back of the sun gear slots in between them shims. It's actually really nice. It's a really nice fit. It's kind of how I had it set up previously, but this is Logic RC, which is the service guys for the whole of the UK. For Arrma, and that's sitting in there nicely. That's nice and flush on the top, which is what you want. Want that nice and flush across there. If I hold on that, tiny little bit of play, but you're not going to get, hopefully that's not going to affect it too much. Ideally, I think I would have liked an extra shim at the behind, but then that might affect the height of where this sun disc is going to sit. So now we've got the bottom done and the top. We're going to make these two together. Make sure that you've got your gasket in there. Some people have some trouble with the gaskets getting chewed up and tearing. So just try and be a bit careful with that. We'll try and make this up together. Let's just pop this back off. Make sure that I get them holes lined up properly. I don't like to not have them lined up and then try pushing through the gasket. It's not good. There we are. So we just have a little, try and make sure that that's meshing in there. Right, the screws in. I think we'll pull out the electric one for this. I'm not going to take it all the way down. I'll try and get them all in there first and then nip them down at the end. Try and keep it level. You don't want to cross thread it. So let it find its way properly first. I'll just take that to there. Buzz this one in. What I'm going to do, just nip these down. Nip these down by hand. That's it. So I haven't got to go full beans on it because this is just going to be a dry run. That's all made up there nicely. That should. I mean, it's spinning around. It needs oil in there. Once you get the oil in, it should be good. See if there's any tiny little bit of sideways movement on this one. Ideally, I'd like another shim in there. But this is what they're saying to do, and this is supposed to be the official fix. So that's all turning round. That's supposed to be the fix. So let's pop this out. We'll zip them screws back out. A little bit more on that one. Let's make sure that's out. Let's crack this back open. Right, everything's in place still, where it should be. Try and put a little bit of oil in. So I did actually have this in front of my heater. Trying to warm it up a little bit more, being out in the garage and that. It's probably cold and probably makes it a lot thicker than it actually needs to be. So we're just going to put some in here. Squeeze it down the sides. I know I've seen some people, they take the stars out. They put it in the bottom first. I think if you've got a nice pointy tip on here, you get it right into the corner, force it down there. I think warming it up's helped, it's coming out nice and easy. So I'll put some in there to start with. I'm going to put my finger on the top. Just give it a little spin round. You can hear it all working in. it's quite thick. That's nice. You can see now that it's kind of worked its way down. So we want to put a bit more in. I don't think I've actually seen a video of exactly how much you should put in, but you don't want to go stupid at the top and fill it up too much. But you want to put a good amount in there. Otherwise, what's the point in having it? I'm not an expert, I'm just a hobbyist. Much like you guys, probably got people watching this. You enjoy going out with your cars, bashing around, trying to make them as reliable as possible, as fast as possible, strong as possible. But isn't that what we're all trying to do? Whilst having fun doing it. There you go, we're going to work that in again, give it a turn both ways. There. So that's worked in again more further down there. Just chuck a bit more in. I think that should do it. So not gone up to the top. We've got it packed out in there. That's a little air bubble. And then when you put the top on and the sun gear goes in, it should kind of come out, fill up and around that as well. So it's kind of filled up. So you've probably got 5 mil from the top, I suppose, and then once that sun gear goes in, it will fill up the rest of the void. So just make sure you're still seated properly. Try and get the holes lined up where you want them. Perfect. Get that on there. Make sure it sits on there level. Try and get that seated. Get a couple of turns on it just to make sure it's on there and it's not sitting in the wrong place. Make sure the holes are lined up. Take your 4 screws. Same again, boring part. Sorry, you've got to watch this again. Pop that one in. I've never had any trouble getting these screws in or out. When I first took it apart, you know, a little bit tight to start with, but you know, not to the point where I was going to chew the head off. Probably because it's going into plastic, it's got no Loctite on it, don't need it. That in there. Last one, and we'll get the nip them all down and let's see how it feels. Right, so we nip it down. Just want to do that, just want to make sure that that's meshed up. So don't want to get it sitting, say if the cap was slightly off and the gears weren't sitting where they're supposed to, and you're trying to do it down, it's gonna lock it in the wrong place. You don't want to do that, you're looking for trouble. So just give these a nip up. You haven't got to go Arnold Schwarzenegger on them. Just, you know, one day you'll feel it kind of stop, and then just a little nip. Down, little nip. Again, little nip. Double check. That's it. Should do it. Right, so see, when you first put it together dry, it did feel a bit notchy, and I thought, you know, okay, we'll see. But yeah, once the oil's in there, I think it's smoothed it up. It does feel very, very, very smooth now. It's like butter, it's not getting notchy. When you go from one way to the other, you can feel it kind of clicking. So it feels good. Feels good. So it'd be interesting to see how well it does now. And give it its test run. Hopefully it'll be out tomorrow. Weather's not been too good because it is like 2 degrees outside. I've got my little heater going in here in the garage at the moment, and we are now out of lockdown, but fortunately we're in tier 2, so I can go and meet up with a couple of my buddies, and hopefully we'll get out tomorrow for the first time in a month together, and go and have it with the cars. So let's pop this back in here, and then I'll show you what I'm doing with the grease side of things. So always these, they're like flat on the top and the bottom, and you find that if you try having it one way and the other way like that, you're never going to get it in. You're going to start screaming and shouting at yourself. So you want to try and get them lined up nicely. Take your drive shaft, get that there. In actual fact, no, I won't be able to do that just yet because I need to take these off. I did put all these back together so that I didn't lose anything. Just going to zip these off. Put that screw there. And whip that out. Pop that over there. Leave that to the side. I'm going to leave these off because after this video I'm going to do another video, and I'll give you a little sneak peek once I've done this, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep that for the next video, which is going to come on straight after this. And yeah, interesting times. So let's pop that in there. Have a drive shaft in the other side. Make sure they're in both ends. Now if you keep those level, it slides straight in. Now when I did this diff originally the first time, I took all the pinion out the back. I took the whole assembly off so I could see from underneath, and there was a bit more of a gap from the pinion to the actual diff case than I would have liked. So what I did, took the bearing out. There is videos out there. I can't remember for the life of me exactly what size shim it was. I think it might have been the 13 by 16 by 0.2. Don't quote me on that, but I managed to pick up some shims that fit perfectly on the outside of the bearing. So popped a shim in there, actually put 2 in there, and put the pinion back together. Check the mesh underneath, very slightly just touching there. So I took one shim off. I think it worked out at 0.2 or 0.3, and it sat just nicely. So I brought the pinion in a bit closer to the main gear, and it gives it a nice, a bigger surface rather than it sitting. So imagine this is your gear, and this is your pinion coming in from the side, and you've got all this here left for it to bite on. So I moved the pinion up so it's sitting on as much of this main gear as possible, and it's using as much of the pinion as possible. And by doing so, when I've done that, I didn't need the shim anymore. So I didn't need to. I had a shim in here which was pushing it over to get it tighter, stop the play. And when I did that, get that wiggled in. There's no movement side to side, so I didn't need the shim because I'd shimmed out the pinion on the back by removing the pinion, take the bearing out, put the shim behind there, push it back on, check it underneath, make sure it's not touching this diff case, and if it's close to the diff case but not touching, brilliant. Put it all back together, and then you'll get a nice, more material touching each other, less chance of bits breaking, and you're getting the power down better. And then it eliminated needing a shim in the side. So I don't need a shim in the side. Either side doesn't need to be pushed over. That's all good. So that's in there. I can hear it turning up at the diff as well. So it's all good. That's in place where I want it to be. Now what I like to do, take some of this marine grease. Now, Chris at TJD said this is great stuff, marine grease. Pack it out in there, it'll work out, it'll force it out of any little gaps and pieces around the edges of the bearings, and a bit of excess will come out. You can wipe that away, And then what that will do is it will seal the diff case from dirt and dust and stuff getting in there. You can see all this grease in here is still clean, and this has had, God knows, this must have 10-15 runs on it, easy. And that grease in there is still perfect. Even the grease inside the diff, it wasn't black, it was still you know, relatively clear. It got a bit grey, but it weren't black or nothing. So that'd stay good inside, that'd stay really good on the outside. So pack it out with this stuff, marine grease. You can get it from model shops. Bust it in the top there, and pack it in the bottom. Now it's already loaded up behind there, so you've got that in there nicely. Try and spin that around, it's not so easy. Yeah, if you've got the wheels on there, you can kind of turn it round. It's a bit hard to try and turn it with just the nuts on there, so I'm going to leave it like that. Take my word for it. Put as much grease in there as possible. Load it up. There's a load on the back already. You can fill it out behind. Put a load of grease in there behind if you haven't done it already, and then push this in there, let it ooze round, and then put it all back together. As you can see, there's loads of grease. Still clean. Still nice and clean, that grease. There's no dirt got in there, which is brilliant. So let's pop this cover back on. Make sure that you've got your sway bar up the top. Get it all lined up in place where you want it. You're going to get some grease oozing out, which is what we want. We want that kind of forcing its way out of places. So we'll get that in there. It's fine. This is going to be coming off in a minute anyway. And then we'll take our diff case screws. I'm going to start these off first by hand. Two. Get that started. Right, I'll turn this down. I don't want this chewing out the bulkhead. Oh, let's change over. Make sure I've got the right size in there first. These are really nice bits. Arrma, slot in nicely, really nice fitting things. Everyone's got their own make and brand that they like and prefer. These Arrma seem well made. Make sure that we've got snip these down by hand. Good. Just wipe the excess off. Let's get a bit more tissue. great. And what that'll do is that'll send grease out the joints, out the edges, out from around the edge of the bearings where they are, and that will kind of seal it from moisture, dirt, water, anything like that getting in there. Yeah, really good. Good way of doing things. So it's turning nicely. Let's see if we can get a... Yep, so that's turning on there. It's all good. Brilliant. Tell you what I'll do. Let's grab a wheel. Grab 2 wheels. Now I've changed the copper heads on here. And I've gone for the D-boots, the LP backflips. Now we don't just go bashing and you know, go for the biggest jump and stuff like that. We do like to have a race, and you'll see in some of our videos that, you know, we like to tear it up, but also at the same time do some jumps and do some crazy stuff. I like to mix it up a bit really, but these are ideal. These are brilliant for grip. Like that. Lovely and smooth. Got no clicking. It's good. Smooth like butter. Right. Let's pop these off. Get them out of the way. Put these nuts back on the side. I don't want to lose them. And then after that, what you do is once you've got your diff case back on, you put your shocks back on, you put your sway bar, reattach that here and here, and wheels back on. You don't have to remove the spoiler. So I did take all of this off, but there was another reason that I've done that. I took that off, one for ease, and secondly, you'll see in the next video, is another a different install, some upgrades going on this, and I'll give you a little teaser. I'm going for M2C towers, rear brace, M2C bottom guard with bumper, M2C front tower, all the shock towers, all the shock standoffs, replacing those. Got the derrick sockets for the ball joints, derrick bits for the top of the shocks, and I'm changing out, which I'll describe in the video, the top pin holder, which the screws on them, where they go in, I'll explain it, but they thread. Now as soon as I got this, I undid it, went and put it back in, it was threaded, so I had to glue it back in there, but I'm going to go with the old-fashioned way, the proven way, and I'm going to change it out for an M2C one with proper hinge pins and retainers, and I won't have any issues with that again. But anyway, this was the video on the EXB diff solution. So for any of you guys that didn't see it at the beginning, these are all the part numbers and bits and pieces for the shims. Anything that you might need on there if you like the video and then want to follow it, or you need to have a look at this diagram because you've got your own EXB and you want to sort it out, or you're having issues, or you're worried and you're going to buy one but you want to get it all perfect before doing anything, then go with that. Hopefully take it out tomorrow, give it a test run, we'll do some filming, and I'll let you know and update you and on how well we go. But yeah, big shout out to Chris at TJD Models, Logic RC for doing the gears on the warranty, so thumbs up to you as well, and the new shims and the diagram of their solution from Arrma. So yeah, catch you in the next video, and the next video you should see this thing looking a tad more tougher, a lot more shinier, and ready to have it. So see you on the next one. I'm Brad, thanks a lot.